Welcome to the stage, co-founders of Hiro Technologies, Tero Isokauppila and Miki Agrawal.
Okay. You go.
Hello, hello. How's everyone feeling?
Yay!
After lunch, full belly, right?
All right, we are super excited to introduce you guys to the world's first micro-digestible diaper. Let's go!
But before we get into the diaper and the whole thing, I want to share a story about Summit. You know, this is the last Summit event, but Summit also has a big role in our lives, and that's how we met. Since this is the last Summit event here in Summit de Troyes, I just want to share how we met 10 years ago at a Summit event in LA. I was designed to be Miki's driver from West Hollywood to Venice.
Designated
and
driver.
On that long drive, she shared her whole life story, and I was inspired in awe of her greatness. And apparently she doesn't remember any of it. So
LA grass, you know?
Anyway, Summit has a special place in our hearts, so we're excited to share our story and our learnings as we go. So first of all, some of you know Miki, but I want to introduce her. Miki is the powerhouse entrepreneur and inventor of the period underwear Thinx. The modern
Anyone hear of it? Try it, wear it? Okay, great.
The modern bidet company Tushy. She's written a couple awesome books and is the founder of Hiro.
Yeah, we'll go through that. Still learning the clicker. Tero Isokauppila is a Finnish elf who is a 13th generation mushroom farmer and has been in the mushroom space for his whole life and really been studying it deeply for 2 decades. Has written actually 3 books on it. 3 best-selling books on it. He started Four Sigmatic, the mushroom coffee brand. Anyone hear about that? Yes. Really brought functional mushrooms to America, and it's now a multi-billion-dollar category, and is the co-founder of Hiro as well with me, which is great. The most important, so you know, it was funny because whenever I think about the businesses that I started, they all kind of are in the business of the letter P. So periods, pee, poop. And actually,
mushroom coffee makes you poop
makes
too.
you poop. And so technically it's the P as well. And the 5th P, which is the most important P for to date, is the P, the biggest P of them all, parenting. And you know, when we both became parents, it was such a big transformational period in both of our lives. And what actually was fantastic to really feel into, it's like the poop and periods and pee person coming together with the mushroom person to actually start Hiro. It makes so much sense, right? Yeah. So as new eco-conscious parents, we really, really, really wanted the best for our babies and our planet. And you know, as we do, we tried all the eco things first. For example, I was even caught washing dirty diapers in a bucket. Is there a volume? Where you can, where you can actually hear me just like getting splashed on with poop and trying to clean cloth diapers to no avail. And it was just such a really, really challenging experience. Then I went to eco diapers, and eco diapers actually don't perform well. I don't know if you know like how challenging putting up bamboo diapers on your baby, it actually doesn't work properly. So we eventually had to go back to conventional diapers because they were actually the only ones that were high performing. But they, you know, I learned that, you know, after taking out all those diapers to the trash can over and over and over again, you know, looked it up to just be like, how many diapers are we going through? Every single baby will go through up to 6,000 diapers in their lifetime. Every diaper will take up to 400 years to break down in a landfill. And so this is an actual crisis. We don't even think about, like, when the stats are insane. Like the number of diapers that can end up in a landfill could circle the earth 33 times per year. And the very first disposable diaper is still somewhere in a landfill today. And then when you actually zoom out even further, there's a global plastic crisis, which you all know about. I'll let Tero take over from here.
Yeah, I think all of us know that there's a plastic crisis. And I grew up in a hippie environment. I went to an environmental school. My older brother handles City of Helsinki environmental part. And I thought I knew a lot about plastic crisis. And when I had my first kid with my wife, Cora, I realized I actually don't know much at all. And the deeper we've gone into this problem, the more I've realized that it's a much bigger problem than we even notice, because a lot of it's hidden. And not only a lot of it's hidden, there's a lot of greenwashing with plastics and waste management in general. The sad part is that less than 10%, about 9% of all plastics get recycled. And a lot of the plastics that get recycled actually end up back into use. So there is no real end-of-life solution with plastics. And those plastics are ending up not just in landfills, a lot of that get burned, and many of them end up also mismanaged in oceans. So this is a big graph, there's a lot of details, but on your left-hand side, you'll see all the plastic created and then where it ends up. And it's an insane amount of plastics that end up in these landfills, but that's not the worst part, because landfills are a space problem, but they're a contained space problem. The real problem is the plastics that get mismanaged, and then those mismanaged end up in the oceans. So there's basically already now a Texas-sized floating island of plastic, and in the next couple of decades, expected that there will be more plastic in oceans than fish, which is insane. And diapers, that are the #1 household plastic waste item, can be recycled, because there's pee and poop. You can't just throw it out and reuse that part, right? So it's a huge problem. We kind of intellectually know it's there, but we've been punting it to the next generation and not having a good solution going forward. And one thing I want to highlight, there's a lot of talk about politics, economy, the new beautiful bill, all these things, Doge in the world. But if you think of all the plastics in the world, today, we basically take 3 million tons that we clean up. I'm all for beach cleanups in California, but we're basically doing no impact with the cleaning up part. And a lot of it, over 82 million tons a year, gets leaked into the world, which basically means that for every dollar we use, as in plastics in a way, 96% or 96 cents of it is debt. So we're punting 96% of the problem into the next generation. Somebody's going to have to pay the bill eventually, but it's none of our problem because it's out of sight, out of mind, right? And that's what inspired Hiro too.
So, when there are crazy, crazy problems, you actually have to harness creativity to find innovative solutions. And this particular story, which we'll press play in a second, was actually born with the inspiration from my son, Hiro, when he was 2 years old. So the quick story is when it was 2018, and I started taking what I call thinking days on Fridays, where I don't take any calls or meetings. Who here is bombarded with so many meetings, calls, emails, blah, 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 constant. So I just finally decided that every Friday, I'm gonna start taking what I call thinking days, where I don't take any calls, any meetings, and I get to just be in receptivity mode and allow for ideas, thoughts, innovations to come through. And on a particular thinking day, I was sitting there and I was like, wait a minute, if breast milk is liquid gold, then baby poop must be fertilizer gold. Yeah. Right? And I was like, okay, wait, breast milk is liquid gold, baby poop must be fertilizer gold. So when the baby poops into the diaper, what if this baby poop can fertilize something to grow and eat the diaper? What could that be? And I was like, right now we're wrapping up billions of pounds of this baby poop fertilizer and throwing in the trash and not harnessing it for good. We're using cow poop, pig poop to fertilize our food, and yet our own baby's poop, we're just wrapping in plastic and throwing in the trash? That makes no sense. And so as I was asking myself, what could potentially break down plastic, my son Hiro comes running into my room saying, Pacha, Pacha, Pacha mama. He's 2 years old. And I'm like, Pacha, Pacha. I look in my bedroom nightstand and there's a book called Pacha's Pajamas sitting in my nightstand. This book had no business being there. So I pull out this book, and I mean, he's 2, he can't read, but he said, Pacha, this book's called Pacha's Pajamas, and this book is about this 12-year-old who grows up in a polluted world, and in her dream, she and a bunch of animals save the planet in the forest. And I'm reading this book to Hiro, and by page 3, he's running off because he's 2, but since it's a thinking day, I keep reading. And on page 31, it says, there are certain types of fungi that can break down plastics. As I was asking myself what could break down plastics, literally on page 31, Hiro gave the answer. And it was this like, in French we call it coup de foudre moment. It was this like aha moment where it was just like, oh my God, I'm listening. We're tuned in. When we tune into nature, it's a very, very, very unique experience of connection. And so, as any creative person does, wanted to make a visual representation of what this looks like. So in 2018, made this art piece to just kind of explain when the baby poops, when the breast milk is liquid gold, baby poop is fertilizer gold. And then imagine if there are fungi dormant in the diaper, and when it gets tossed in the trash bag, the fungi in a couple of weeks start to wake up, fertilized by the baby's poop. And then first it eats the diaper, and then the whole bigger vision is that it not only eats the diaper, but then starts to eat the other plastics in landfills too. That was this whole big vision. And it was so kismet because after that, when I met Tero, 13th generation mushroom farmer, and the universe just kept putting the right pieces in place to make this project happen. There's Hiro. With the tagline, babies save the world. Yeah.
So let's talk about the plastic-eating fungi. This is not something Miki or I or Hiro invented. It's actually existed for a while. And it's literally in the fungal DNA to decompose things, including plastics. And that's such a fascinating concept. And if you go to the next slide, the key thing is the world depends on plastics. It's easy to demonize these things as like they're bad without offering a solution. But the real thing is like we need plastic, for example, for sterile medicine. So many millions of people depend on that every day. We need plastics, for example, for cars, for safety and keeping the other parts of our economy running. But at the same time, we don't have an end-of-life solution for it. But the fungi are the end-of-life solution because that's what they've been doing for literally millions of years, and it's in their DNA. But I'll let Miki explain it in layman's terms on why does it work, and then I'll geek out a little more.
Yeah, so just a quick history of trees, fungi, and plastics, because again, like as someone who is really new to this, who has been new for the last 4.5 years to this category, I want to dive deep into just understanding how it works. And so just understanding the brief history. So let's just go through it. 4.5 billion years ago, the Earth was formed. Then, cut to 2.4 billion years ago, fungi came to be. Fungi came 2.4 billion years ago. It was the first land being to actually spit out enzymes and learn how to break down rocks and turn them into soil. Cool, right? And so cut to, let's see, 300, the numbers are so kind of crazy. 370 million years ago, trees were formed. The carbon backbone, so trees got erected. The carbon backbone, the hard part of these trees are called lignin. And so the lignin was able to make these trees erect, and they just grew and grew and grew and grew. But when they died, they just basically strewed all over the planet because fungi hadn't evolved to break them down yet. And so all these trees were kind of like just strewn everywhere like plastic. And so actually over the next 100 million years or so, all of those dead trees and dead animals and dead trees, and dinosaurs came later, but really dead trees would get compressed and compressed and compressed and compressed and actually formed our oil. So our fossil fuels come really from dead trees and later dead dinosaurs. And then cut to later, plastic was invented in 1907. And it was actually invented to save the elephants because elephant tusks were getting used to make ivory, artifacts and things. And so they made plastic first to save the animals, but then save the elephants, but then it was used for way too many things. And just like trees getting strewn around, plastic got strewn around. But then it took 100 million years for fungi to learn how to break down these carbon backbone of trees. So trees make oil, oil makes plastic. So if there are certain types of fungi that have learned to break down trees, they can also break down plastic. So it was such a huge realization that you can actually harness these same things to break down the thing that's really a challenge today by just harnessing this ancient technology. How cool is that?
Side note on that, I have 3 little boys, 4-year-old, 2.5-year-old, 1-year-old. They're all obsessed with dinosaurs. And when they're obsessed with dinosaurs, they all want these little plastic dinosaurs. And I always thought it was like the cosmic giggle of nature that those plastic dinosaurs are made out of dead dinosaurs.
Right?
So.
Okay, we're gonna do this. Where does plastic come from? Oil. Where does oil come from? Okay, some of you are listening. Get back to it.
Anyway, so somewhere since the invention over the last 100 years of plastics, fungi figured out that, hey, this is pretty similar, this lignin and plastics. I could eat the plastics too. And that was discovered by us humans roughly around 2011. It's mostly credited to a group of Yale students that went to Ecuador, the Amazon, discovered this, Michael Jordan of mushroom, plastic-eating mushrooms, E. microspora. And since then, research groups around the world at many top universities, from Berkeley to UT at Austin, are researching this. And right now we found, as of today, is like our last research set, 132 species, and more get discovered all the time. There's about 1.6 million estimated species of fungi, most of them undiscovered. And as we go, we'll probably find out more. But the kicker is this: arts and sciences both have always drawn inspiration from nature. Nature is the muse for arts and sciences. And that is same also true for plastics. So nature has these natural polymer structures like lignin. It's within the cell walls of the plants, and they make the trees sturdy. The trees need to be sturdy to live decades, hundreds of years in all around the world in tough conditions. Otherwise, termites could just eat them. Termites can't just eat a healthy tree mostly because of lignin, and it is a natural polymer. So now when that oil is used to create plastic, you create these very similar synthetic polymer structures that the carbon backbone is very similar. And that makes total sense. And now fungi just took the leap into digesting them. But what's even cooler is once they learn it, you can teach them to be more efficient. And fungi learn really quickly. They're metabolically flexible, and they learn how to use the carbon from those plastics into their food source and later into awesome other stuff. Just to highlight, this talk is about diapers and babies saving the world, but it is only the starting point. Fungi can be used for many things, from medicine to psychedelic journeys and spirituality, but also for this field called microremediation. You can heal the planet in so many ways using fungi, anywhere from radiation to pesticides. I know there's a lot of talk about different pesticides in our food and soil. Fungi can help clean those up too. And electronic waste, clothing. A lot of clothing, by the way, has plastic too. And so fungi can be used in many cases. And we're just using diapers and these non-woven products as the launch pad to change culture.
And it just to add, so it took fungi how many years to figure out how to break down the carbon backbone of trees? 100 million years, thank you. With human innovation, we can actually cut that time down by so much. If we can actually harness nature's innovation and humanity's innovation to come together, we can take it from 100 million years, kind of like how AI is really collaborating in a hopefully positive way. In the same way, we can do that with ancient intelligence, ancient technology as well, in a fraction of the time.
Yeah. So how does it work? You might ask yourself, well, tell me more. Well, how does it work is that fungi, just like animals and humans, need an external food source. So that's why Miki said fungi was the first thing to come out of the oceans to the dry land. There was nothing to eat, so they started digesting rocks and minerals out of rocks. So they need an external food source. But they don't eat like us. They don't put it in a belly. They almost spit at their food, and they live in their food. So if their favorite food is pizza, they're living in a pizza house and they're spitting on it. And that spit is removing these things like carbon energy for them. So basically, be it diapers or something else, what happens is that they will start to consume it. And we'll show you some videos on how that works. But with these enzymes, they start breaking it. But because it's a living organism, it's regenerative. So it starts multiplying, expanding, and then it can also expand into other plastics. And the end is biomass and soil that can be used, for example, carbon from the plastics into the soil that plants can use as an energy.
So imagine this, it's like the fungi, then they first grow, then they kind of spread out, and then they scaffold around the plastic, and then they reduce it and bring it down. And actually, the fungi then die, and that's what actually creates the soil mass with the plastic. And then before it dies, it sporulates, and that's how it continues to grow and hopefully break down other plastics in landfills too. That's the whole big vision.
And what's cool is nature is actually really smart, but it just needs certain lead dominoes. So we talked about trees, and I mentioned that termites can't just break down a healthy tree, but termites and bacteria and sun and other things can break down a tree that's already on its way of breaking down. So same thing with plastics. The first 10, 20, 30% of these polymer structures breaking down is the hardest. If you can break them out even halfway, then other things, anywhere from sun and UV, to bacteria, to animals like termites, they can get in there and start breaking it down even faster. So if fungi can get the ball rolling, there will be momentum, and then the momentum will make the whole ecosystem work together to break it down. Just something needs to help them get going. So we're going to talk a little bit about our journey and what we've learned along the way. So we started a little over 4 years ago, and we combined this group of Ocean's 11, because when you do frontier research, frontier science, you can't just plug and play hire someone. There's not software as a service where you just go. Yeah, you can't just go and hire a team from another company. We had to hire these PhDs from different fields, chemistry, mycology, there's engineers.
Microremediation.
They came together to share their knowledge to come up with a new path forward. And we have over 1 million visual data points, and we studied hundreds of species for different types of polymers, plastics, and we find our top superhero fungi. But I knew it was working, and Miki was like, is it working? Is it working? It's like, it's working. With these very precise instruments, we would see that it's breaking down chemically, but nothing beats the experience of seeing it with your own eyes.
Oh, you can see it on an FTR machine under a microscope. You can see it on an SEM machine. I'm like, okay, but I want to see it with my own eyes.
Yes.
And so we did these fish tank experiments.
Yeah, like any startup, we went to Craigslist, right? And we bought used fish tank and put them in our
Sterilize them, of course.
Yeah, we had a control, basically means there's actual poop and diapers and soil in our office, but without the technology, and then with the technology. And here you'll see how it looks in 10 days. So it starts to spread. Fungi and mycology is a lot about expansion. You're just expanding this wood wide web all over. Here it's after 2 weeks.
We're gonna play a couple just so you can see it.
Look.
You put louder volume.
Happening to the diapers.
Look at the fungi just growing.
Mushrooms are actually growing all over them. This is crazy.
And then let's move on. And here's after a month.
Well, this is really exciting. We're about a month in, and we're seeing full-on degradation of the diapers. Inside this fish tank with our mushrooms and our plastic mushrooms in them. They're just going through it like food. It's amazing. Now
and this might be my favorite video because finally.
That's from the original.
Yeah.
Miki has been saying that does it work, and this is after
I
a couple
started
months.
crying. You'll see me start
Oh,
crying.
I thought this was a new. I thought this was a new.
No, it's being turned into soil.
I have full goosebumps. Yeah. Wait, I really thought this was a new.
No, it's the same one.
Oh
So I just set up a.
my God! It's
Right?
working.
I know, it's so exciting.
And
This is crazy.
No, and we sampled the buckets in the lab, I sampled them earlier this week, and it was like I could hardly sample because they're just falling apart. Like the diaper is like disintegrating in some of them, and that was just 2 months.
I'm like crying.
Right?
Oh my god. This is crazy.
It was a moment.
What? Right?
And that
It's
is
working.
That's Dr. Danielle Stevenson, who is actually a great case study for the untapped potential we have in the science community. She's from Canada. She actually started doing her first diaper experiments like 15 years ago in Canada. She had friends who were having babies, and she thought it was such a waste, and she just started doing these experiments at home. But there's a lot of amazing scientists in fields like mycology that don't have a good job because there's no commercial applications. They can go to academia like Danielle and get a PhD and do that research, but there's not companies actually commercializing it. So just as a side note, there's a lot of amazing talent and smart people that just don't have a home to do what they actually love and care about.
But all just a side note on that, it was such a, like, again, the universe, like as when, you know, like tuning into Hiro saying Pacha and then getting the book and giving the answer from that point on, meeting Tero with his pregnant wife, them having 3 babies since, going through so many diapers as well, us partnering together, then meeting Eric Ricciardi from Procter & Gamble, who literally built Pampers Pure from 0 to 250 million. He really understands the diaper business. And he literally, before meeting him, he was in the femcare space when I was working on Thinks. And he basically, his name is Eric Ricciardi. He went by Erica Richards and bought 85 pairs of Thinks underwear to reverse engineer them and write the counter patents against us. That's what he did. And now he's our president at Hiro, which is awesome. We got him, one of the good guys. Yeah, we got
So then, now that we knew it worked in a lab with a microscope, a precise instrument, we knew it worked in a fish tank from Craigslist, we brought it to actual nature. So we rented a house just outside of Austin Airport, and the Austin city officials thought it was a meth lab, so they tried to close it. But if you go to the next slide, we set up, I tell you, kid you not, hundreds and hundreds of buckets full of poop and diapers.
So ranked. Like, I draw the line at maggots. I was like, when maggots, I was like, I draw the line at maggots when you open the diaper and maggots. I'm just like, oh my God.
Here, Mickey's holding a control. And if you've ever tried a diaper, it's actually like really hard to break. She's holding one without our technology, and I'm holding with our technology. 3 months in
You can
nature.
spray them. They're like framed.
In extreme Texas summer heat, which is not good for fungi.
Dry,
Yeah.
100 degrees, like still somehow these beings.
So now enter the myco-digestible diaper. Myco referring to fungi, and digestible just means it's getting digested.
And one of the reasons why we didn't want to go direct B2B and directly to, you know, plastic companies is that we know that the biggest investor we have are the people. And that we believe the grassroots, just like the mycelium, like quietly working the ground to change to support every being. That's how we want to build here. We want to start with the parents, start with the mothers, start with the fathers, and, you know, really, really create a grassroots product direct to people so they can actually make the change first and then demand the change from that point on. It's bottoms up, not top down, because top down, they're making billions of dollars making plastics. Why would they change unless the people changed first? And so we both have, you know, worked on changing different categories over the last 2 decades of our lives. And so we really love the hand-to-hand combat of talking to people one-to-one, eye-to-eye, to be like, hey, this is what we've learned. Like, work with, like, you know, we can do this together. We don't need the big guys to make the change. We could do this first, us, and then we demand the change just by who we support. And so that's why we wanted to launch Hiro as a consumer product first.
Yeah. So there's a lot of tech people in Summit. So to make it in tech terms, the fungi are the software. They're the intelligence, the ancient, not artificial, ancient intelligence. And they're awesome in their own right, as we noted. But you need a delivery vehicle. There's a lot of amazing innovation technology sitting in labs and universities around the world. And for us, the Trojan horse is the diaper for 2 reasons. One, it is the #1 household plastic waste item, so you can move the needle immediately if we solve this. 2, It is also one of the hardest problems to solve. It has multiple, 5 to 8 different types of polymers. So polyethylene, polypropylene, SAP, one of these most common plastics in the world. So if we can solve the diaper, then most of the other problems will be easy to solve.
75% of soft plastics in the diaper account for, or the plastics in the diaper account for 75% of soft plastics out there. So if we can solve the diaper, we can solve pretty much all soft plastics.
Yeah. But if you're a tech person, you know that you never solve these together. You never do software and hardware because it's like the hardest thing to do both at the same time. But that's what we did. And the hardware was equally important. Miki mentioned that we brought in the guy who created the #1 better for you diaper in the world, Pampers Pure. But we needed to create a diaper that's super high performance, up to 12 hours of protection day and night. And what I can just speak personally, over this last 4 years, I've had 3 boys and they all tested different diapers. I've gone through over 100 different diaper brands here in the US and internationally. And now my youngest, Taika, who's 1 year old, has been using the final version of the Hiro diaper. And our diaper usage has gone down to half. When they're super high performing, then you don't need to use as many diapers. The problem has been is that you can choose a bad for the planet, toxic, conventional diaper that works, or you could choose an eco diaper that's slightly better for you but doesn't absorb. And we didn't want to have that compromise. So we created a nature-inspired version with unbleached core, unbleached cotton back sheet, no wetness indicator, all the good stuff. But most importantly, one that actually also uses this very high performing Japanese SAP that has the performance that parents are looking for.
We did these blind tests with like hundreds of parents where they just tried the diaper without even our technology, knowing nothing, just blind test which diaper performed better, and ours won pretty much every single time. I think 99% of the time ours was chosen as by far the better diaper on its own. So the hardware works, the software works. For us it's like there's high performing, but not eco. If it's a high performing diaper, it takes 400 years to break down. If it's an eco diaper, it sucks from performance and it's also greenwash and also takes hundreds of years to break down. So this is the very first high performing and truly eco diaper on the market. We're super excited about that. Yeah.
And in our first test groups, we noticed something I noticed also at Four Sigmatic. There's a thing called mycophobia, fear of fungi. So a lot of the parents were like, hey, I don't want the fungi to touch my baby.
Even if they're safer than the diaper itself, the fungi, that you can eat them, actually.
Those fungi are safer for the baby than the plastic itself, but that was a fear. So in the generation 1, there's a pouch that you add. You can go to the next slide, so we'll show how it works. So basically, the baby uses a diaper like any other diaper, pees, poops, does the whole thing. Then you change it when you're ready, and after the change, you throw in one pouch in one small inspired action to change the world, and then you toss it like any other diaper. You don't need special process. You just put it in the diaper bin and then throw it in the trash, ends up in a landfill. That's as simple. Our version generation 2 coming out next year, it will be inside the diaper, skipping a phase. So now it's all about education and letting consumers understand that it's safe, but it's also an epic diaper.
And we've been waiting like 4 years to do this trial. And we finally have this trial that's coming up at the end of June where we get to put a version of our technology inside a diaper line for the very first time. This diaper manufacturer, they manufacture for literally some of the biggest diaper companies in the world, and are giving us, they believe that we are part of the future. So they're actually giving us a process to put our technology in the line to see how it works. It's a huge, and when this happens, it's gonna be truly game changing. Like, it's such an exciting moment. And this is about the diaper itself.
Literally, do you see anything that's bleached?
Louder.
If you look outside, or especially if you look inside the diaper, you notice that it's a little bit brown. It's not bleached.
People have thought that white equals clean, white equals safe. When you think about the bleaching process, it's truly turning something from natural to a toxic material, right? We wanted to create a diaper that was as unbleached as possible. This is like one of the only diapers that has an unbleached core and an unbleached cotton back sheet. It's a big innovation that we're super excited about for our babies and for the...
Yeah. Yeah, hardware, software cannot compromise on either. You cannot change culture if it's okay diaper, but the technology is great. If the technology's but the diaper's great, can't change culture. You have to have an excellent product to truly change culture in every way. And we're constantly evolving as well. So to really get into, like, what are we doing at Hiro to really, really shift culture and really change the paradigm from the old system to the new system? Because that's part of what I'm excited about with Hiro, is really shifting the consciousness of how business is created in the first place. And so one of the first things that we've looked at was this old system of reduce, reuse, recycle. I'm sure we've all been told by our moms, dads, teachers, we've seen that on the side of the blue bins constantly. And, you know, while the thinking of it was really, you know, high vibe, they really wanted to, you know, the idea of it made sense. But when you actually really think about it, the reuse and recycle part of this process is very, very energy consuming. To recycle is very energy consuming. And by the way, 90% of, you know, plastics are not even being recycled. And reusing as well, even going through the take, make, use, lose cycle, you're still going through a cycle of energy consumption. And so ultimately what we came to was a new system, which we call the reduce, regenerate system, which we believe in reduction. Reducing is so important. You reduce your consumption. We've created, you know, at Hiro, not only have we created the best-in-class diaper that takes, you know, you can actually use way fewer because they're well-made, so you're actually reducing your consumption, but we're also, one of the things that we're super, super excited about as a direct-to-consumer diaper company that offers disposable diapers, is teaching parents elimination communication, which teaching them how to get out of diapers as fast as possible. Most, you know, back in the day, babies could get out of diapers in 6 months. Today, it's taking 3, 4, 5 years to get them out of diapers. They went from a few hundred to up to 6,000 diapers in one baby's lifetime. That's insane. And so as part of our training and you know, program, we're going to teach parents elimination communication to really reduce their consumption. So reduce your consumption, and then if you're going to, a second part, regenerate. If you're going to use something, use a regenerative product. Use something that returns to the earth with the help of our friendly fungi. The other thing that we're so excited about is, you know, creating this ground game. We call it the Hiro MOMs, the movement of mothers, led by, you know, the great mom herself, Mother Earth. And it includes fathers as well, but really the first few years, the mothers are really, you know, take a dominant role for the most part. And part of the ground game that we're so excited about is, again, it's this bottoms up, not top down thinking. It's like we can touch the mothers and the fathers first, we can change culture. And why we love the idea of going for specific diapers first, beyond number one household plastic waste item, number 3 waste item in landfill, beyond it being like such a real hazard for our planet. The point when you go from maiden to mother, or you go from bachelor to father, it is a true acupuncture point of change. It is a real moment where you go from I, me, selfie, to us, we, ecosystem led. What's my kid growing up in? What's the world they're going to be in? What are they consuming? What are they eating? What are they wearing? What kind of clothes? It really, really is a point of change that is a very, very small window to really attract them to shift their consciousness into a new way. Not just, okay, for this period, buy these regenerative diapers, then you're back to Amazon boxes and consuming. It's like part of the thing that we're so excited about is teaching parents, when they join our Hiro's journey, to become eco-forward parent leaders. You become a leader the second you become a parent of your household. So now you're leading your home, you're leading your community, you're leading maybe the mom circles, hopefully. We want to help, you know, inspire and you know, learn help these moms and dads relearn how to become eco-forward thinkers, eco-forward leaders in their communities. So we're so excited to go through. We're going to create this amazing program, thousands of dollars of free coaching to all these parents who join the Hero's Journey to learn these leadership trainings from an eco-forward perspective. You know, for every year, I create a word of the year. And 2023, my word of the year was soft power, and it's still a word that's been following me for the last several years, because it's something that, you know, as entrepreneurs, like we've learned, you know, that hard power is how you scale, you build, scale at all costs, trauma scale, put in 100 hours, do the thing, fuck people around, whatever. Just like, no. There's a new way. There's a new paradigm. How does nature do it so effortlessly? How do we do it in such a soft yet powerful way? We can change culture in a way that's so much more inspirational, that's so much more collaborative than doing it in this hard power, like, you know, like puffy chesty Audi kind of way, which we don't, you know, we see Trump and Elon, you know, let's be honest, that ain't soft power. I created, you know, as part of this thinking, you know, wanted to create this framework for soft power. And ultimately, it's a framework going from the self to a two-person dynamic within company, within community, and within the planet. And it's this radiating and tuning from the inside out. It's no longer this sort of like, again, just putting someone on a pedestal. Oh, I don't want to deal with conflict. I hate having to deal with employees who have who wants to say something. Instead, it's like, how do you lean into a new way forward? How do you go from resenting conflict to resolving conflict? Going from putting leaders and people on pedestals to all of us being on a path of growth? How do we go from projecting that we're doing everything right to radiating truth and just being like, this is where we are authentically. You know, Hiro, we have developed a 1.0 product of our fungi. Is it the perfect product for every single, you know, temperature and weather condition? No, not yet, but we're gonna get there. We're on a path of growth, just like all of us and all of you. And we're gonna work with you along the way and tell you everything authentically, with full integrity. Going from, projecting and radiating to then ignoring nature to attuning to nature. So many of us we forgot what it feels like to be so deeply attuned with nature. And so one of the things I've been so excited about doing as well is putting nature on our board. And we're giving nature a board seat. And we're having Lynn Twist, one of the creators of the Pachamama Alliance, to represent nature on our board, which we're so excited about. One of the other things that I'm super proud of is having, tithing, as founders and leadership, tithing some of their personal equity to nature. And so I have personally given some of my personal equity to Pachamama Alliance. So we have, not only do I feel like, we are in true collaboration with nature, but also we have 88 million acres of sacred headwaters, the Amazon rainforest, on our team. How cool is that? You know? So I really believe that it's like, it is about, it's really putting our money where our mouth is. It's about how do we actually make these real shifts for real in real time right now, not just, let's just circle jerk and talk about these ideas and not actually do anything about it. Let's actually do stuff about it. One thing that I'm so proud of is we launched Hiro as a prayer, a non-denominational prayer, where we wanted the seed of the start of our company to be really held in a way that was pure. And so we had leaders of indigenous leaders from the Amazon rainforest. We had spiritual teachers from the banks of the Ganga River. We had Mayan grandmothers that Tero's really good friends with. We had like amazing leaders and spiritual teachers and Amazon and rainforest, like the ancestors, the indigenous people, come and work with us in collaboration. They've been collaborating and tuning in with nature for so long, we just lost touch. And so how do we then bring our touch back with it and harness all this indigenous wisdom together in collaboration with building a company in real time today? It's so exciting, it's so fun, it's like, it's different, and it sounds weird, but it's from my perspective, it isn't. The final thought that we have is, we've been talking a lot about collaboration, co-elevation, even in nature, biomimicry, circular economy, like really hearing these terms. A lot of those things are like looking at nature and collaborating in a way, but it's still side by side. There's this final thought that I was talking about, the idea of like co-evolving together. In a way, like Hiro is co-evolving with humanity is co-evolving with our fungi. We're learning how to take this 100 million year old timeline and bring it down into a much shorter period. Humans are, co-evolving with artificial intelligence. So can we learn how to co-evolve again and again with the most brilliant ancient technology of our time, nature? We absolutely can. And so, there's this concentric circle. There's nature's innovation, humanity's innovation. We are such innovative creatures. If we can come together and innovate together and co-evolve together, wow. Like, there really is promise for a true, where we're not gonna go extinct like the dinosaurs.
Yeah, you might or might not have babies yourself. You might be into mushrooms, or you might not. That's okay. But I think there's a big opportunity and also a big risk if we don't learn as humanity to co-evolve with nature and figure it out. Mushrooms have been here over 2 billion years before us. They will be here 2 billion years after us when our time comes to an end. And the question is when it will come to an end.
Unless we co-evolve.
And exactly. And the key is what other industries where nature and humanity and sciences could come together to find regenerative solutions. And there's many opportunities, and I hope in the future we'll see more of it.
And in the meantime, you want to take one question or no? I don't know if you have time.
Do you have time for questions?
One question?
I wanted to say that while you're giving this talk, one of your investors and a dear friend of ours, Anya and Danny,
Oh.
So during the talk, one of our investors had a baby.
Well, and they're going to become hero mommies and daddies. They texted us, apparently. Oh, that's awesome. All right, I think we're good. If you have any questions you want to talk to us, come talk to us afterwards. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.